Hi, I'm Andrea. Thank you for joining me for this 30-minute yoga practice. This is one of those days where we're going to use our chair, like quite a bit. And I want it to be a chair that doesn't feel like it's on its last leg, if you know what I mean. Because we're going to actually put a little oomph into it. Some of you have done this with me before, but we do something called puppy dog on it, this practice. So not your three-legged chair, something with a little substance. Also, our beloved 2 blocks. If you don't have 2 blocks, it's fine. Maybe a couple sturdy books. That'll do the trick. A folded blanket. Grab the throw blanket off of your couch. Use a folded beach towel. All of those are terrific. And if you don't have a mat, fear not. Find a place in your house that's carpeted and not too slippery, and you're good to go. Now, we'll start as we often do in what we call mountain pose. So feet hip distance. Probably best if you kind of put the short edge of your mat facing me. If you don't have a mat, just if you face me, I will adjust myself so that you can best follow. In your mountain pose, a little soft bend in your knees. Turn your palms away from each other. Stand into the earth and land into the earth. You're welcome to close your eyes if you're comfortable with it, or a soft gaze. Either way, we are gazing at what I love to call our bright horizon. Imagine that you have your hand on the volume knob, and you are turning that volume down. So all the distractions, all the kind of crazy swirling energy around you settles, like those snow globes that we shake and then they settle and we can see the inner landscape. That's us right now as we start. In that clarity, start to find your breath. Let it come in and out through your nose if that's possible. If that's not possible, please breathe any way that you can, but do so with awareness, with that clarity, like the settling of our snow globe. 3 moments here to stop so that we can start. We'll add movement. Inhale, arms out to the side, thumbs to the sky, a V shape, and then just exhale and float your arms along your side. Adding on, inhale, arms out to the side, thumbs to the sky, V shape. Hinge at your hips as you exhale and take your hands to traction on your thighs. Inhale, use that traction to create length through your spine, and then exhale a little bit more, hinge into your hips. Inhale, arms out and up, thumbs to the sky, V shape, and then float your arms along your sides, palms face out. Inhale, arms out and up, thumbs to the sky, a V shape. Exhale, hinge at your hips, hands to your thighs. Inhale, heart extends, and then exhale, hinge at your hips. Inhale, arms out and up, thumbs to the sky. Float your arms along your side. Again, a sun salutation, which is our ritual, which means it's rich. Inhale, arms out and up. Exhale, hinge at your hips. Inhale, heart extends into that richness. Exhale, hinge at your hips. Inhale, arms out and up, thumbs to the sky, and then arms along your side. Let's do one of those. I'll be silent. Stand into your mountain. Feel that softness in your knees and in your gaze. And refine spinning your arms open, so palms away from each other, which gives an uplift to your heart. And I mean that in our posture, but I mean it in our mindset also. Situating your chair where you're able to put some oomph into it. It's not too far away from you. It's also not underfoot. Face your chair in your mountain, feet hip distance. Inhale, arms out and up, thumbs to the sky, V shape, and then exhale, hinge at your hips and take your hands to your thighs. Inhale, traction that length into your spine. And now place your hands on the seat of your chair. Make sure that you're solid, your chair is solid, your arms are solid. A few things, we're not bending our elbows out to the side and scrunching our shoulders into our ears. So imagine spinning your inner upper arms out in front of you so there's space between your shoulders and your ears. Draw your low belly towards your spine, and once those are in place, experiment with stepping your feet back. Maybe 5 inches to start, but just to that sweet spot where you feel your arms supporting you a bit. But a stretch also in our hamstrings and the backs of our legs. And then we support the whole thing with a lift of our low belly towards our spine. And of course, we support it with our breath. Our breath and our attention. We are right here, where we are, not drifting off into a story or a thought. 3 moments where we stretch our hamstrings and our attention. And then wander back up so that you're a bit closer to your chair, hands to your thighs. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, increase the hinge at your hips, and then inhale, arms out and up, thumbs to the sky, V shape. Float your arms alongside you. We'll do that again. Inhale, arms out and up, thumbs to the sky, V shape. Exhale, hinge at your hips and hands to your thighs. Inhale, heart extends, hands to your chair. Step it back once you know you're solid. Feel the stretch in your hamstrings and the oomph in your arms and the inner upper arms spinning out in front of you, no crowding of shoulders to ears. 2 more moments here. And then just step it forward. Belly is firm, feet are hip distance, hands to your thighs. Inhale, heart extends. Exhale, hinge at your hips, and then inhale, arms out and up, thumbs to the sky, V shape. Float your arms alongside you. You might introduce your blocks here. And if you use blocks, turn them their tallest and place them not underfoot, but right on those long edges of your mat. You can also just keep using your chair. Keep your chair in place because we will use the chair additionally. So you might have quite a little bit of proppage happening in your world right now. Feet hip distance. Inhale, arms out and up, thumbs to the sky. Exhale, hinge at your hips and hands to your thighs. Inhale, extend through your spine, hands onto the seat of your chair. Step it back into our puppy dog. Take your time, but feel the oomph, both in your arms and the stretch in your legs and the lift of your low belly. From our puppy dog, step your right foot forward and your left foot back onto the ball of your foot. So we're in our lunge, and remember that you can stay with your hands on the seat of your chair the whole time, or place your hands onto your blocks. All of us, whether your hands are on your chair or on your blocks, will be very conscientious not to let our head get lower than our hips. Now you're going to inhale and bend your knee a little bit deeper here, like a little bit of an uplift of your heart. And then you'll exhale and straighten your front leg, keeping the uplift of your heart, but feeling that it's a hinge at your hips. Bend your front knee. You can coordinate this with an inhale into your lunge, and then an exhale into your straight leg, cautious not to let your head get lower than your hips. One more time like that. Bend your front knee, inhaling into our lunge. Exhaling into our hip hinge. We'll bend our knee one more time, really get long through the spine, and take that with you as we linger longer in our hamstring stretch. So right hip draws back, left hip draws forward. We find the kind of length in our spine here that we were discovering when we had our hands on our thighs in our sun salutation. And we tractioned that length. 2 more moments here. Rebend your front knee and step your left foot hip distance from your right. Hands to your thighs, inhale. Exhale, hinge at your hips and fold, and then inhale, arms out and up, thumbs to the sky, V shape. Float your arms along your sides, palms face out. Second side, inhale, arms out and up, a V shape. Exhale, hinge at your hips and take your hands onto your thighs. Inhale, extending your heart, and then hands to your chair, a little oomph, and we step it back to the sweet spot that we have discovered earlier. Keep the oomph in your arms. Just step your left foot forward this time and your right foot back onto the ball of your foot. And you can keep your hands on your chair base or transfer your hands to your blocks, but we keep our head above our hips. Now inhale, a little bit bending that front knee, and then exhale, straighten your leg, but keep the length in your spine. Let it be just a hip hinge and a little moment in your hamstring. Bend your front knee, like a little bit of an inhale with your heart uplifted, and slowly straighten your front leg. Keep the hinge at the hip and the length through the spine. Bend your front knee, inhale. Straighten your front leg, exhale. Great, one more round. Bend the front knee, inhale. Straighten the front leg, exhale. We'll bend the front knee one more time, and this is our inhale and reminder to stay long in our spine, and then we'll linger in our hamstring stretch here. And the hamstring stretch is where we want to be particularly certain that our head stays above our hips. Now just think left hip back and right hip forward, and stay for a few breaths. A stretch of our attention and our hamstring all at once. Now rebend your left knee with your belly firm. Step your right foot hip distance from your left, hands to your thighs. Inhale. Exhale, hinge at your hips. Inhale, arms out and up, thumbs to the sky, V shape, and then float your arms along your sides. Great. Inhale, arms out and up, V shape. Exhale, hinge at your hips and hands onto your thighs. Inhale your heart forward. Now this time, place your hands onto the seat of your chair. Now get that uplift of your belly. We won't step back further. Instead, we're going to use this trunk stability, this oomph in our arms, and our hamstring stretch with a little bit of a balance in a T shape. Now bend your right knee a bit so we know our muscles are turned on. Begin to float your left leg back behind you and feel like it's lifting from its inseam, like you're basically doing the pyramid pose we just did with our foot on the floor with that left foot elevated. Find your breath, do your best. Remember, we're still not collapsing into our shoulders. Think right hip drawing back and left hip drawing a little bit forward, and definitely low belly lifting towards our spine. Think of this as a meditation with a sprinkling of balance. 2 more moments just like this. Step left foot hip distance from right, hands onto your thighs. Inhale, heart extends, and then exhale, hinge at your hips. Inhale, arms out and up, thumbs to the sky, a V shape, and then stand into your mountain. Second side. Inhale, arms out and up, V shape. Exhale, hinge at your hips and hands to your thighs. Inhale, get that length through your spine and place your hands solidly on the seat of your chair. Keep a bit of bend in your left knee. Make sure that your low belly is lifting. We're not collapsing into our shoulders. The oomph is in our arms, and the inner upper arms are spinning out in front of us. Begin to shift the weight onto your left foot and lift your right leg back behind you, allowing the inseam to be where it lifts. So it's not a cranking open of the hip. It's a feeling of a stretch and some strength in our hamstring. And as we stretch and strengthen, it's not just our bodies, it's our mind. And our breath is rich and deep, supporting both stretches, body and mind. And stay with it here for another 3 moments. Probably a good time to check in on lifting your low belly towards your spine for support. Step your right foot hip distance from your left and bring your hands to your thighs. Inhale, lengthen through your spine, and then exhale, hinge at your hips. Inhale, arms out and up, thumbs to the sky, V shape. And then float your arms along your side. Inhale, arms out and up, thumbs to the sky, V shape, and then exhale, hinge at your hips, hands to your thighs. Inhale, heart extends. Hands to the seat of your chair or to your blocks as we come to the ground. So we want mindful movement, even in the transitions from our standing postures to the floor. Part of that mindful movement is that we'll move our props that we're not going to use right at this moment out of the way. So that means your chair and your blocks. And now what you might want to introduce is your folded blanket underneath your knees as we come to our hands and knees. So we just want to make sure that it is enough padding that you don't feel like you're grinding your knees into the earth. Now, wrists are underneath shoulders. Your hands aren't too far forward where we're going to shrug the shoulders into our ears, and they're not too far back. So you can actually think about what we did in our puppy dog and recreate that here on hands and knees, including a lift of your low belly. Now step your right foot back like you're flirting with a plank, right? Oomph in the arms, inner upper arms spinning forward, just like our discoveries in puppy dog. And then, as if it were moments ago, lift that right leg off the ground, like our T shape that we did standing, except now we're on our hands and knees. I like to keep my left toes curled under. That helps me to support my knee. And then every now and then I have to remember not to collapse. It's so easy not to remember the oomph. Now keep breathing here. Right now, we have our hamstring extended on that right leg. And then to bend our knee into our chest, we're going to need to contract it. So bring your knee towards your chest. That's a contraction at the hamstring. And then extend it back behind you. That's extension. We'll do it a couple more times. Knee to your chest, contracting our hamstring so as to bend our knee. And then an extension back behind us. Once more, knee to chest. Some fancy footwork here. Ready? It's going to take some core strength. You can do it. Step your right foot next to your right thumb. So sometimes that takes helping it along. That's fine. And then come up onto your hands onto your thigh, upright here. Arms out to the side, thumbs to the sky, a V shape. Now feel like you're tractioning your right heel back and your left hip forward. They're not going to move on your mat, but you get that energetic idea of if you had flashlights on your hip bones, they'd both be facing the front of your mat. Now keep your thumbs to the sky so we don't shrug our shoulders here into our ears. And then frame your right foot and we'll head into another hamstring stretch. So this is like when our knee was into our chest. And this is like when we extended the leg behind us. Curl your toes back. Remember when you tractioned your foot in our bent knee position and our pyramid where we weren't rounding our spine. We were hinging at our hip and elongating through our spine. So we often pick up some treasures along our practice that we can then keep incorporating into the postures as we make our journey through the arc of our practice. 2 more moments here. And we bend that right knee, come to hands and knees. So this too will be a little bit of core work. Just swoop that right knee next to left knee and then situate so that your wrists are underneath your shoulders, lift your low belly, and step your left foot back like you're flirting with a little bit of a plank position. Get the oomph going in your arms like our puppy dog. Once you feel solid with your low belly lifting, elevate your left leg. Let it lift from its inseam. This is our extended hamstring. We contract it with our left knee to our chest. And then we extend it, lifting it back behind us without cranking our hips open. Keep the oomph in your arms, knee to chest, contracting. And then you could think of the inhale being the extension part of the equation. Exhale, knee to chest. Inhale, extending back behind us, oomph in the arms. This time, knee to chest, pause. And step your left foot next to your left thumb. Take your hands up onto your thigh. Feel that traction of your left heel towards your right thigh. Probably you have your back toes curled under, low belly lifts, arms out and up, thumbs to the sky, just like our sun salutation. Pause for a moment. And then frame your left foot, straighten your front leg, curl the toes back. Think of our pyramid pose where we weren't rounding through our spine. And then breathe into the stickiness of the stretch. We're hamstringing it up. Hamming it up, hamstringing it up. A couple moments here. Great, rebend your left knee. Here's a little core work for us. Ready? Left knee next to right knee. We're on all fours, but we're going to use this position to come to our belly and probably lose our padding. So move that off to the side, your folded blanket, and come onto your belly. Sphinx pose, take your forearms on your mat, align them so that they're parallel to the long edges of your mat. Traction your elbows towards you, keep your chin parallel to the ground. So this is not us overusing our neck. Feel the lift of your low belly. We've spoken of it in a few different poses, and now you can feel it against the ground. And then bend your knees so that your feet feel like they're about to head up towards the ground. That is your hamstring contracting, right? So you're just gonna carefully traction your elbows towards you, keep your chin parallel to the ground and your low belly lifting. And then we're not gonna lift our thighs off the ground, but I want you to imagine, what if you were to try to lift your thighs off the ground? Can you feel how that contracts your hamstrings? I don't want that to hurt your low back though, so you've gotta really be a bit diligent about lifting your low belly as you do that. But those are the contractions of our hamstrings. That's what helps us take every powerful step in our life. Now release that down, and then take a moment here, make a pillow with your hands and rest your head to one side. And now when you bend your knees, just let them windshield wiper back and forth. We'll do that one more time. So into our Sphinx pose we go. Feels like we're pulling our elbows towards us, your chin's parallel to the ground, low belly lifts. If that felt like it was a little iffy on your low back, just stay here. Don't worry about it. You've run the experiment, you don't need to do it again. If it was of interest, bend your knees with your feet towards the sky, and then only if your low belly is okay with it, you could kind of pretend like you're gonna try to lift your thigh bones off the ground, and notice where that would come from. If you're not quite sure how to make that feeling, imagine trying to bring your heels a little bit closer to your butt. And there'll be something that lets you know that you're working some muscles there. Certainly for me, I feel it. A couple more moments. Zero pain in your low back. And then release it down. Bring your hands next to your ribs, firm through your belly with your toes curled under. We're coming to all fours. And then into child's pose. So sit back on your heels. You can keep your toes curled under or not. You can keep your arms in front of you or run them alongside you. But this is just a really nice counter pose to a pretty deep back bend that we just got ourselves into. 2 moments here. Now come to hands and knees again and find your folded blanket. This time our folded blanket wants, I think, to be a little bit taller. So you could even grab a pillow or a cushion from your couch. Come seated on it, so it becomes our little perch, our bench. Extend your legs, both of them, straight out in front of you. Now, classically, they say toe knuckles touching. Realistically, in our bodies, I find that a little bit of distance is a very nice thing. So it doesn't matter to me which of those you prefer to do. But what I do want is to make sure that this, and I'll turn sideways so you see me, that this doesn't become this kind of a thing, where we're rounding through our spine. Like, where did that beautiful pyramid pose go that we had, right? So shift towards the fronts of your sit bones here on your perch. Let your toes flex back towards you, and it might be better so that you can be upright to bend your knees. There's no shame in that. We've talked about a hip hinge a lot. That's true here, and you don't necessarily even need to hinge at your hips if it's already a little sticky. So what we're not doing is rounding. What we are doing is taking our long spine into probably the deepest hamstring stretch we've done together yet. And then just pause. Remember, we're stretching not just our bodies, but our attention span. That's the advanced stuff, I think. I'm going to be silent for a full minute. When your attention runs away from you, just convince it to come back using the sensations of your hamstrings as a place to focus. And let that dance with the rise and fall of your breath. Ready? 1 minute. Perfect stretch of attention and hamstrings. Firm through your belly, come upright, which is maybe where you've been the whole time. Bend your knees and place your feet on the ground, consciously, off of our perch. And then make your way to lie down on your back. Once you're lying down on your back, a spinal twist. Scoot your hips to the left with your feet as wide as your mat. Let your knees windshield wiper over to your right and pause. And then come through center. Pick your hips up, scoot them slightly to your right. Let your knees spill over to your left. And then come down the middle. Pick up your hips just a little so that you can find center and let your knees fall in on each other with your legs wide. Snuggle one shoulder blade and then the other underneath you. And either stay here or extend one leg and then the other. Feet flop open, palms to the sky. Close, maybe cover your eyes. Fall into the earth and into our rest and digest Shavasana, final meditation. You're welcome to stay here in your final Shavasana meditation as long as you'd like. If you're ready, gently move your fingers and toes. Give yourself a stretch in opposite directions. Gather your knees into your chest and roll to either side. Using the strength of your arms, let your head be the last thing to come up. Take any comfortable seat, maybe cross-legged, possibly onto your perch. And then rest your palms up or down. Remember that stretch, not just in our hamstrings, but that incredible stretch of your attention and that awareness as you stretched into your breath. And take it with you even when you roll up your mat and head out into the world, because I think that's where the real yoga happens. I'm Andrea. Thank you so much for practicing with me. I look forward to doing it again together soon.